When you hear a story like this, about the US possibly rescuing a downed F-15E pilot from inside Iran, it almost feels like something straight out of a movie. And honestly, the first thing that comes to mind for many people is the famous movie called Saving Private Ryan. But while there are some surface-level similarities, the realities behind these two situations are very different in tone, scale, and what they say about war. Let's break it down in a real, down-to-earth way. First off, the basic similarity is that we don't leave people behind. At the core, both situations are built on the same idea: you get your people back safe, no matter what. In Saving Private Ryan, a whole squad is sent deep into Nazi-occupied France just to find one soldier, James Ryan, whose brothers have all been killed. The mission isn't about winning a battle or taking territory, it's about bringing one guy home. That guy is the only blood left for a family. He is not merely a man, a soldier, and a brother. He is continuity. The reported rescue of the F-15E pilot feels similar in spirit. If the US really did carry out a rescue inside Iran, that's an extremely high-risk move. You're talking about sending personnel into hostile territory, possibly under the radar, to extract one or two individuals. That says a lot about military culture. There's this unwritten rule: we take care of our own. But that's pretty much where the similarities start to fade. If the US really cares about its soldiers, why send more to the battlefield? If Iran is not lying, which we do not comment on, over 200 US officers were supposed to die in a recent Iranian attack. They are also sons and daughters of their respective families. And they died because someone had initiated airstrikes during negotiations without approval from either Congress or the UNSC. In a war wrongly launched in the wrong place at the wrong time, saving a pilot from a downed fighter jet, even if it is true, does not mean a lot for the country. It is a good topic for Hollywood, but not for the taxpayers, especially those sleeping on the streets. Americans like and admire heroes, and Donald Trump understands that it is the right time to declare such inspiring news when the whole world is laughing at him. When most people mock him for losing a military asset, he shows the world that he loves his pilots more than the asset. American heroes are more valuable and important than the fighter jet itself, although the world pays more attention to the downed US warplane and does not care whether the pilots are saved or not. Now, let us examine the two different situations. James Ryan is in a massive war, and the US pilots of the downed F-15E are in a precision moment. Saving Private Ryan is set during World War II, specifically after D-Day. That was one of the largest military operations in human history. Millions of soldiers, entire nations mobilized, cities getting destroyed, and it was total war. The rescue of a pilot in Iran, on the other hand, is the opposite in scale. It's not a full-blown war, at least not officially declared. It's more like a surgical operation, quick, targeted, and likely kept as quiet as possible. In World War II, everything was loud and visible. Tanks rolling, bombs dropping, entire divisions clashing. In a modern rescue like this, it's probably stealth aircraft, special operations forces, encrypted communications, quiet, fast, and precise. So both involve danger, but the type of danger is completely different. Another huge difference is the tech. In Saving Private Ryan, everything feels raw. Soldiers are carrying rifles, communicating by shouting or basic radios, and moving mostly on foot. When they go into a fight, it's chaotic and personal. We see the fear in their faces. Compare that to a modern scenario involving an F-15E, satellites tracking movement, drones providing real-time intelligence, night vision gear, possibly stealth helicopters or aircraft, and supposedly advanced extraction planning. War today is still dangerous, but it's also way more data-driven and coordinated. In World War II, you often didn't know what you were walking into. Today you might still face surprises, but you go in with way more information. That is, you fight by sight, not merely by instinct. One thing that Saving Private Ryan does incredibly well is make everything feel personal. You get to know the soldiers, their fears, their jokes, their arguments. When people die, it hits hard because you've spent time with them. Modern military operations, like this alleged rescue, are almost the opposite in how they're presented to the public. There's very little detail, no names, at least not disclosed, no play-by-play, no emotional storytelling. One is a movie you watched, the other is a headline you accidentally heard. It's just, mission happened. Personnel recovered. That doesn't mean the emotion isn't there, it absolutely is. The soldiers involved probably experienced intense stress, fear, and adrenaline. But from the outside, it's all very controlled and quiet. Hollywood gives you the human side. Real life often hides it. Risk and sacrifice, different kinds of stakes. In Saving Private Ryan, the mission costs multiple lives. That's one of the main messages of the film, is saving one person worth losing several others. It's messy. It's morally complicated. In a modern rescue mission, the goal is usually to minimize casualties. That's where technology and planning come in. Ideally, you go in, get the pilot, and get out without losing anyone. But let's be real, if this kind of operation really happened inside Iran, the risk level is extremely high. If things go wrong, it could escalate fast. So while World War II missions often accepted heavy losses as part of the reality, modern missions are designed to avoid that, but the stakes are still huge, just in a different way. The political contexts are also different, global war versus gray zone tension. World War II was clear-cut in terms of sides, the Allies against the Axis. Everyone knew who the enemy was. The situation with Iran is way more complicated. There's no official war declared, at least not in the traditional sense, but there's definitely tension. So a rescue operation like this isn't just a military action, it's also a political signal. It raises questions like, was it a violation of sovereignty? Of course, few people care. There have already been thousands of violations of sovereignty. Another concern is, will there be retaliation? There have been nearly 100 retaliatory attacks from Iran. So one or two extra does not matter much, either. People may also ask, how much of this will even be made public? In World War II, missions like the one in Saving Private Ryan were part of a massive, ongoing conflict. Today, something like Saving the Pilot exists in a kind of gray area, not quite war, but definitely not peace either. Till today, we have not known the name of the pilot, maybe never for the public, or not in a while, for privacy and safety concerns. Let's be honest, Saving Private Ryan is designed to tell a story. It's dramatic, emotional, and structured to prompt reflection on sacrifice, duty, and humanity. Real-world operations don't work like that. If the US really rescued a pilot from Iran, we probably won't get the full story anytime soon, if ever. A lot of it would be classified. So while the movie gives us a clear narrative, character development, a beginning, middle, and end, the reality gives us fragments of information, conflicting reports, and official silence. It's less like a movie and more like trying to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces. At the end of the day, both situations reflect the same core idea. Human life matters, especially to the people fighting alongside you. In Saving Private Ryan, that idea is explored in a dramatic, emotional, and sometimes heartbreaking way. In a modern rescue operation, it shows up in a quieter but equally powerful form: high-tech planning, rapid execution, and a strong commitment to bringing people home. But the world has changed. War isn't always massive and obvious anymore. Sometimes it's hidden, precise, and politically sensitive. So while it's tempting to compare real events to movies, the truth is, real life is usually more complicated, less visible, and way harder to understand fully. Another layer on top of all the above-mentioned points is the audience. The audience in a cinema for Saving Private Ryan is largely not biased decades after the V-Day. The readers and viewers of the rescue are divided, and people are still debating whether the saved pilot is a hero or an invader. Saving one unnamed officer from deep inside another sovereign state's territory can hardly be called a heroic move, and for millions of Iranians, the rescue is a totally different story. The pilot may have killed hundreds of their people, even including toddlers, pupils, and college students. Letting the US Delta Special Forces rescue this officer is a shame for the Iranians, and for many Americans who hate the war, it can hardly be labeled as a glory, let alone victory.